Okay, so I'm checking in on Murder Road. I'm about a third of the way through this so far, and it's just kind of okay. I'm not feeling it. Like, so far, it's doing things that other books that I've read are doing, where, like, these main characters, these two people that the story is following, it's following a lady and her husband, they're newlywed, but they don't seem to actually know each other that well. And that's like a whole premise with this so far. So it's doing the thing where they're not telling you a whole lot of backstory about the main characters, but they definitely did something sus. And so I'm just basically waiting for that reveal at this point because I think it's going to be more interesting than the actual story, which I don't know. For me, horror is a lot harder of a sell in general when I'm reading it. Like, it can still be interesting, but for me, like, people appearing out of, like, nowhere or disappearing is more creepy to me when I'm watching it. So for horror, it's like, the story has to be really interesting for me in order for me to get hooked into it. And this one is, like, it's interesting enough, but it's not like, this isn't going to be a 5-star for me. So far, I'd say it's like a 3. It's not the worst thing I've ever read, and it's not the best, it's not the worst. It's kind of just, Murder Road is really middle of the road so far. But yeah, I'm only a third of the way, so I could still be convinced otherwise. But so far, it kind of, to me, it feels almost more like a thriller, which I'm not a fan of thrillers. So this one, walking that line is already not great. Amethyst, please, child. Amethyst wants to say hello, apparently. Come here, child. Come here, say hello to the camera. Oh, this is my cat, Amethyst. She loves to be in my videos. And at least every time I've tried to record. But anyways, so I'll check in when I'm further in, possibly at the end, I don't know, until something interesting worth noting happens. Amethyst, please. But that's the update so far. Okay, so I finished the book, and I definitely got way better. It just took until like 50, somewhere in the 50 to 70% mark is when I finally got like locked in, and it got a lot more interesting, and I'm glad because I was a little bit bummed about it at first, but it came through. But so I realized I didn't explain the premise that well last time, so let me explain. So for this book, there is this girl April with her husband Eddie, and they just got married, and they're trying to drive out to a like little hotel resort, whatever. I think it's just like a hotel. They're trying to go to like a little motel to hang out by the lake, and it's in the 90s, so you know, they don't have GPS and they get lost. And then where they get lost, and they get kind of like turned around and sent into this area that has the road that people are getting murdered on. So that's what's happening here. And so yeah, the it got like pretty intense. I think like, yeah, around like 70% in, that's when I started getting a little bit like scared a little bit. So it did finally do that for me. But yeah, I thought that it ended well. You get answers. It's not like an open ending or anything like that, which was good. So yeah, it definitely redeemed itself for me. But it also kind of reminded me, since it was old vibes, it reminded me kind of a little bit of like Stranger Things, not in like the sci-fi way, but in the like, you know, throwback. Like, there are a lot of mentions of him, of Eddie having fought in Iraq because he was in the military, and then just like, oh, lots of OJ talk. So yeah, it's a bit of a throwback if you're as old as I am. But yeah, I ended up liking it. I think I gave it 3.75 stars on Storygraph. So yeah, that's done, and I think after this I'm going to shift probably to reading beach read, I think, or just like some kind of romance. I don't actually read a ton of horror, so we'll be switching gears next.
She knew he was cheating on her and she stayed with him. I'm sorry. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Finally, Gus cleared his throat.
Several days later, but I have in fact started beach read as promised. And so far, like, these people are just both so bitter and salty, and it's kind of funny. But also I can see how it would be annoying for some people. But also, like, it's obviously a romance, right? So it's two writers that are staying up in their beach houses. Well, beach houses, lake houses. They're at a lake. But, it's two writers that have made a bet to, like, write each other's genre. So he has to write a romance and she has to write, like a I guess, like a thriller, like a spy book. But this dude seems so just, like, he's definitely not the type of dude you would expect to ever write a romance book. Like, the stuff they're saying that he did, like, they know each other from college, it turns out. And this dude, I don't feel like that's a spoiler really, but this dude is kind of a hoe. He's a hoe. Like, he's just a hit it and quit it kind of guy. He's not he doesn't really seem to believe in romance. So, this is gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. But, I think so far, this is my second Emily Henry book, and so far, I still think I like Happy Place a little bit more than this one. But, you know, I'm not that far in yet. I'm in chapter 12, I think? Let's see. Yeah, I'm in chapter 12, so, you know, I still got plenty to go, but we'll see how it develops. But, you know, so far it's like a light read. I mean, not entirely light, because the whole reason she's in the beach house is because her dad is dead and he left it for her, so, it's a little sad, but not, like, overly so, you know, the beginning of it is sad, but then it just kind of takes off in a more lighthearted direction, so I wouldn't get too caught up on it maybe being sad when you first start. But that's the update, and we'll see how it goes from there.
We drove in silence for a while, Eliza admiring Lady Caroline's graceful handling of the reins. How came you to be able to drive so well? Eliza asked. My mother taught me, Lady Caroline said. My father taught her. I did not know that she drove too, Eliza said.
Okay, so it's been a while, but I do have reading updates. So I finished Beach Read, finished listening to it on the audiobook, and I did not like this one as much as I liked her other book. Like, this is only the second one I've read by Emily Henry, but I liked Happy Place a little bit more. This one, I felt like it was just a lot of, you just need to have an adult conversation, and the guy, like, the girl's over here acting the same as her dad, basically. Like, the apple didn't fall far from the tree on that one. And then the guy, Gus, he just seems kind of emo, like, okay, we get it. But, I don't know. They're just both really going through a rough time, so, yeah, this book, it had its, like, more, like, chill, funny moments, but then it definitely got a lot more serious, and there was a lot of stuff that they had to deal with, but in the end, yeah, she was definitely judging her dad for the same shit that she was basically caught up in, so I don't know. I just didn't like that as much. Like, I'm sure some people would probably be really into, like, the last part where she's getting, like, these letters from her dad. But, for me, I was just kind of like, well, that is some bold-faced stuff for him to just be admitting it after the fact. So, I don't know why he didn't give them to her sooner. Like, he didn't, I don't know. I just kind of thought it was a little bit of a mess. Like, her dad a hoe, this dude also a hoe. Like, she went for the same type. So, anyways, that was Beach Read. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. Not my favorite read, but I finished that one. And then in other updates, I ended up DNFing the Beneath Black Sails by Claire Sager. I was reading that one on my Kindle. I ended up DNFing that one. The main character was just doing too much stupid stuff, like, I couldn't. I was like, the plot is super predictable. Like, it's super obvious. If she's supposed to be, like, a super badass pirate lady, then why does she not see this shit coming from, like, 1,000 miles away? It should be, like, the first thing you're thinking, you know? But, I don't know, they just... She's over here doing dumb things, and I just couldn't. I couldn't. I'm like, I need her to be a little smarter, and I need the plot to be less predictable, and it just kind of felt like a mess. I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, it was too dumb for me. So, I ended up DNFing that one, even though that was very sad for me, because I typically like a fast-paced, like, piratey story. No, that one didn't do it for me, so that one's DNF'd. And then what else? I started listening to Forget Me Not by Julie Soto in an audiobook. Let's see. Yeah, I think this was called. But I'm honestly not feeling this one either. So this one, honestly, part of it is the audiobook's fault. Like, I can't stand how the girl's voice is. She keeps doing, like, she keeps cutting herself off while she's talking, and it just sounds like so, like, whiny. It just sounds, I can't stand how it sounds. It sounds so whiny and so annoying, and it's not doing it for me, but I also don't want to switch to reading it physically because I just don't, I'm not invested enough in the story to want to do that. So I think I'm just going to power through and see if it gets better. But so far, I'm not as into it as I was hoping I would be for that one. So, but the premise for that one is that it's like, it's a lady that's doing wedding planning stuff, and then so, and she's having to, like, plan this, like, massive wedding thing with this guy that she doesn't necessarily want to have to work with, it sounds like. So I don't know, it seems a little weird. Also, why is her mom married 16 times? This is her life's messy, but I don't know, we'll see how it goes, because the guy also seems kind of grouchy in this one. Lately, the guys are always grouchy in these books. I don't know, so we'll just see how this one goes. But so far, it's also not turning out to be my favorite, which is also disappointing. This month is already looking like a bunch of flops, but we'll see where it goes. I also decided, I think, that I'm going to start reading the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I forgot to add this to TBR, but it's the Book of the Month pick for the online book club that I'm in, so I'm trying to read this one, or at least start it, since it's physical and kind of chunky. I mean, not that crazy chunky, but it's enough that it might take me a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. But that is what's happening. And then on my Kindle, I also started a book that I got in the, what is it? Oh, one of those Stuff Your Kindle days. So I got one, ooh, I'll have to update the title next time, but it's one about, like, Greek gods and stuff. And this one specifically is Hecate and Hermes trying to hook up Persephone and Hades. But they have, like, their own thing on the side going on that's kind of more about that than the other thing, so I think I'm getting to the part where it's about to be all smut. And it's really short, it's only like 60 pages, so I should finish that one pretty soon, actually. But yeah, I think I've gotten to the smut part. But that one's weird because it's, the way that it's written feels kind of stiff. It's the only thing way I can think to describe it. Like, it kind of feels like I'm reading an essay almost, the way that it's written. So I don't know, it's like a weird combination. But I don't completely hate it, but it's definitely different. But yeah, we'll see how that one wraps up. But so far, those are all the updates. We'll see how these continue. Okay, so I actually read this book really fast. Okay. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, but I ended up getting sucked in. So this book, you know, as the title kind of tells you there is a book club, and they all become friends. And it's a group of women, very southern women, and basically throughout the book you're following their friendship and how things kind of evolve between them as they deal with this really sus dude that moved into their area, and kids are disappearing and getting hurt, and things are happening that are a little creepy and weird. People are dying, and so the men don't really listen or believe them, and so you follow Patricia, who's really trying to make sure that that this guy gets taken care of, because they want to run him out of town because, you know, she puts together that he's a vampire, but that, you know, in reality, like, if somebody's telling you somebody's a vampire, you're gonna be like, what in the make-believe shit are you telling me? So that is basically, like, a lot of what happens in here. People discredit her, they don't believe her, and so in the end of the day, the book club ends up banding together to take care of this. I mean, you know, they go through a lot of mess in the process, but I ended up rooting for her a lot, and I was very glad that in the end they were able to slay the vampire, as the title says. So that is not really a spoiler because it is literally the title, but it is it was a very big ordeal for them to go through it. The book does address, since it is in the deep, the southern United States, obviously, there's a lot of, and it's set in the 90s, so there's a lot of talks about, like, some of the racist stuff going on, and the dude, and they're very, like, southern and religious, so it's very, like, women are supposed to listen to their husbands type stuff. And so some of that was very upsetting to read, so definitely know going in that, like, there is going to be Bible verses quoted, to, like, throw people off of listening to somebody else, and to, like, basically try to, and just discrediting women in general, so that there's a lot of that, so just know that you might get mad reading this. I mean, I did. So anyways, but I ended up liking it enough to give it 4 stars. So, yeah, I would definitely try some more books from this author. It's the first Grady Hendrix book I've read. I did also fall into the trap of thinking it was a lady writing this. But, yeah, I think that's a man. I think it's a man writing this, which, like, you know, I guess kudos, because, you know, sometimes you can kind of tell when it's men trying to write women, but I feel like in this one he did, like, a decent job, so I'm not mad at it. I liked it. 4 stars. And so, also, I finished listening to the audiobook of Forget Me Not, and I did not like that one that much. I ended up actually giving that book 3 stars. That, I did finish listening to the audiobook. Alma's voice was whiny and annoying. And it did not get better, but I also just, her unwillingness to believe that her boss was screwing her over was just weird to me. Like, even at that age, I was able to recognize, like, crap like that going on at work, so she was just kind of naive, and I didn't like that part. Like, I wanted her to just be a little bit more, I guess, business savvy than she was, especially for going to business for yourself like that. But them getting together and dealing with the stuff that they had to go through, her with the dude who has the flowers, ended up being also weird because they had, like, dated before, and she's all like, oh no, I don't want to be, like, in a committed relationship, and then she does everything that talks about, basically she actually kind of does sound like she wants that. So I don't think girl knew what she wanted, which I guess fair, who really knows sometimes, but I don't know, I felt like was kind of messy. And so in that one, as much as I wanted to be on her side, I did not I think she should be that dumb, but about some of the stuff, but that was that, so I gave that one 3 stars. Not my favorite. And then I also finished, I think the one that I talked about, it was Love for All Seasons, the one that was the Greek mythology telling that I was reading on my Kindle, and so I did finish that one, and I thought it was going to turn smutty, but in fact it did not. So it actually ended up being really cute in the end, and so, like, I thought it was good. Like, short, sweet, cute. Definitely could have been longer if we really wanted to, because it was very insta love on the side of Persephone and Hades getting together, but then, you know, I props to Hecate because she was not playing the same shit of that. Like, she was like taking her time with Hermes. She wanted to like make sure that's what she wanted, and that's like, and that she was like good with him, and that she could trust him and all that. So I, you know, she went totally opposite of her, and made sure that she was like comfortable with the situation. So I thought she was smart about it, which I appreciated. But then yeah, the flip side, you had the insta love with the other couple. So for it being only 69 pages, it was very short, sweet, and you got two couples out of it. So it ended up being really cute, and so I wasn't mad about that. But I think I'll end the vlog here because it's probably already. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but I've read more books than I thought I was going to for this already. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap that up. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch y'all next time.